talk about the late item there?
Yeah, so it was a preconceived notion that I was gonna have a late item. But it got added into your packet, so when you scroll through it, it'll be in there. But as soon as, I have Kara that's gonna be on the phone tonight under audit report, then, I'll give you guys the ending fund balance if she does not, which she may not, so I'll give you that ending fund balance where we ended in June 30th of 16.
So you wanna add a 8.4?
No, we've got it already in consent where it says
11.5.
11.5.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
Motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
One second. All in favor?
Right.
Okay, approval of minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence.
In a way, I do. Everything around this room this evening I will call correspondence. My thanks to all schools in recognition of your month, School Board Appreciation Month. The posters are from Fremont and Hay. The desserts are from Fremont and Hay and Union, and then the beverages are from Lakeview High School, Daly Middle School. So, Board, once again, we appreciate the great work you do, and we're coming to the end of your month here, and once again, thank you for everything you do.
Can I read this?
You sure can.
I wanted to let the school board know how wonderful the Fremont staff has been to work with. As a new teacher to the Lakeview district, they have been very welcoming and helpful. I appreciate all of them. Thank you for the opportunity to work with them, Tammy. Thanks. So, very nice compliment on our teachers. You make this pretty easy. So thank you. Public comment. Reports. ASB report.
Pleased to welcome Bryce here this evening, so.
Starting with this December, the students of LHS have been busy. We had a holiday spirit week with dress-up days, holiday PJ, red and green, holiday hat, ugly sweater, and redneck holiday. A fun pep-up assembly, and then the winter whiteout dance on Saturday. Teachers' doors were decorated by the high school student council members, and hot chocolate was sold by the DMS student council. Overall, it was a nice way to celebrate before winter break. In January, the high school students delivered yellow books as a fundraiser for both projects and a class trip in the spring. Winter sports are going strong. We just had our third Senate meeting. At this Senate meeting, past dances and a new movie night were discussed, as well as new ideas for future events. The Senate continues to evolve as we figure out what direction we want to go with increasing participation and student involvement. Student Council put in work orders for a new area in the northwest wing to display awards and Lakeview alumni art. The shop class created the sign, and the maintenance crew did a great job moving and rehanging the plaques and art. I would encourage everyone to take a look at it, as it looks really nice. We also have new bulletin boards in the front entry to give more of a welcome to the school, as well as a place to gather some basic information about the high school and middle school events. Our front TV was broken, but a new one has been bought, and hopefully it will be installed soon. And we have a slideshow that runs continuously with pictures and information about activities. The students really enjoy the weekly slideshows.
So where is that plaque, new plaque? Sorry?
It's it's at the west end of Senior Hall,
Okay.
and there's a new sign. There's just the whole space is filled with stuff, so it's nice. And then it created more space for other stuff around the school.
There were lockers there?
No,
It's just open.
there's just the doors out to the football field, and it's just that whole wall, and there's
Really?
heaters below.
Yeah, it's a really pretty brick wall.
Yeah.
South side of
It gives them, the freshmen something to look at while they sit down there.
I'm sure they're studying that.
Yeah. What year was this from?
Alright, well, if no one else is gonna ask, what exactly was Redneck Friday?
My outfit was mud boots, a red flannel, and a raccoon hat. So others wore camo and red or a Santa hat. Not very many people dressed up because I think it's hard to dress up for, but some people really enjoyed it. They just went for it. So it was an experience.
And that's a different week for dress up than normal, right?
Yeah,
Usually do it.
Yeah, we've never had a spirit week or dance in December, I don't think, in a long time. Or at all.
Good participation.
The dress up days itself were okay. The dance was also okay. The people that went to it liked that there was something to do, I think. And we had lots of good things at the dance. We did a good job decorating it. But I think people just aren't used to having a spirit week then.
Right.
People always know when homecoming is relatively, people always know when Sadie's is relatively. So it's something new, but I think people liked that there was something to do.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Very good, you've been busy. Any questions, Dorothy? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate it.
Building report.
Okay. At the middle school, we have we have 109 total students with a 94% attendance rate, and the high school we're at 242, 92% attendance rate. This past Wednesday, the 18th, we did our Smarter Balance training to our accounts, administered our Smarter Balance training on our early release Wednesday to the whole staff. It went well. We need to get that done as we're going to start testing here relatively soon. This week we have first aid will be taught. Bobby will do some first aid this week on Wednesday. As Bryce said, Winter Spirit Week will be held starting the 30th with the Sadie's Hawkins dance coming up the 11th of February. Also kind of adding to what they said, the high school student council continues just to do some great things inside the school with getting news up and getting our staff pictures up, and we're working on. We have a lot of other things that we're in the process of doing, whether it's Student of the Month and getting some pictures up to recognize those students, or just getting things out there for the kids. We got the birthdays up in that one corner that is just it looks really good, and they're doing a really good job of keeping things up to date and fresh, and it looks a lot more like a high school when you walk into it with the posters up and the things, celebrating what we do. One thing that we've talked about at length is doing some painting in there. Just small things like painting the doors in the gym, those god awful yellow doors that Miss Mize has talked about maybe her student council kids being able to do, or painting some beams around the office there and putting some quotes on them. So there's lots of things in the works that we're excited about and look forward to get done to really make that school look nice. Middle school student council's rolling right along as well. They just had a very successful couple days. They sold Italian sodas at lunch, and it was absolute chaos because the line was really long. They sold a whole bunch. I think they made over $300 or right around $300 in the 2 days at lunch, raising money for their state conference. So it was a great couple days for them. As you know, we're going through accreditation this year at the high school. And we've gotten all of our surveys out to our groups. If you're a parent, I hope that you got the parent survey and have completed that for us. We've gotten a staff survey that has been completed. We just recently, in the last couple weeks, had our students take a survey. We got about 185 of those back. And then we've also gotten the parent survey out, and I'd like to see the parent surveys, get a few more of those. And we're trying to figure out ways to do that. We sent an email blast out with the link to all the emails that we got from registration, and so that got a bunch of people. So it's interesting, and going through the comments and some of the results, it's good to see. I mean, it's good to see some areas that we need to look at, and also celebrate some areas that we do a really good job in, and there's plenty of those too. So for the board, I think, and I don't know exactly how this will go. I'll know more in a couple weeks because I got to go to I'm on an external review team. When we have our external review, when they come visit our school, they'll be there for 2 days, and it's May 2nd, I believe. They will want you guys. They will interview you folks. And I don't know if it's all of you, if it's just one of you. I'll be in touch on that. But they do interviews of the board. They'll do interviews of teachers. They'll do interviews of of parents. They'll do classroom observations. It's quite the process. So we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do between now and basically the end of March, so we can get everything submitted in time.
So you go do that at another school?
Yeah, I'm on an external review team at Phoenix High School and Lebanon,
Okay.
and so I go to those and serve. So it's great. I'm excited to do it because it gives me an idea of what I need to do and what we're going to be seeing.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be. I'm looking forward to it.
How often do they do this?
You got to do it every 5 years. So we're up this year. And then kind of the last thing today, Mrs. Snyder took 6 of her science investigation kids out to Union. She did those science projects in her science investigation class, and the kids voted. And the top 6 went to Union today and did those presentations for those students and talked a little bit about STEM, I believe, is what they did, some of the stuff that they did. And I talked to Brandy briefly at the end of the day, and she said it was great. The kids had a blast. So really good experience. I hope the elementary kids liked it, but I know our kids enjoyed putting it together for them. So, just the dates for this upcoming week that we have. We got basketball tomorrow versus Modoc here. Thursday we got our lone wrestling duel at home, and it's senior recognition night, so that'll be the only time our wrestlers are at home on Thursday night. Then Friday we're at IV for basketball. The 28th we're skiing at Bachelor, and then like I said, the 30th through the 3rd is Winter Spirit Week. And then the last thing I have is, in the spirit of communication and getting stuff out to the community, I put together a newsletter that I'm going to start doing monthly. And so this is the February one, and it'll go on, Evan's going to create a link on our website that goes directly to this, and then we'll also email it out to all of our email contacts that we have. So, just want to give that to you, kind of an overview. I hope to add a little bit more to it. Some student council news, some Avid news that we'll add to that. But I wanted to get you guys kind of a draft of what it looks like tonight with what we're going to start doing monthly and putting all those dates on there. And the only thing I caution is I know how, you put something out there like that with dates, and inevitably something's going to change, and then then you get the upset person because of the date change. So I just put at the end of my thing to still always check the website if things change after the newsletter's written. And then also, I don't know if you knew this, but Mr. Louie received Educator of the Year Award at the Chamber Gala on Saturday night. So excited for Mr. Louie, very well deserved.
Was he surprised?
He was very surprised, and he was very upset with me because I was supposed to host it with him, and I bagged out on him on Friday. That was how we were getting him there.
Oh, I see.
And so he thought he was going to have to host, and then he shows up and didn't have to host. He was a little rattled. I'm sure his cheeks got really red. And then
I presented it, and he got up there. He was very humble, gave a very nice speech. The crowd rose to a nice standing ovation, clapping for him. I said, "Don't sit down just yet." There's another piece of news too. Mr. Louie, as of Friday, is engaged.
Yeah.
A wonderful response from the crowd.
He's just got a double whammy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Then I guess the last thing I'll say is that little alumni corner that Bryce was talking about. It looks really great. That sign that we had made is fantastic. I think just so you guys know, if you guys get any questions, we moved some of those plaques that had been there that people walk right by and I don't know that they notice, with the idea that we can't have people visiting the school in the middle of the day to check stuff out. I mean, safety's a concern, so when people randomly come in, so our thought was, well, let's put them where they're accessible to people, they can see them. And so they're down in that hall where they can access them during games. You can go out there, which we've already had multiple people, you can walk through the gym, walk out in the hall, and it's all right there. So I think it increases accessibility to that stuff. So just, if you guys get any questions, that's kind of what our thinking was on that. Any questions?
Was that survey, is that one you're given to give out?
Yes.
Because there were some questions on it that were confusing to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, did they give you like a matrix to compare your answers to or something, or you just get them and you guess what people were thinking?
I gotta tell you, I don't really, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how, because I pulled the reports today, I've been pulling them periodically and looking at them, and you can export them, and so, you know, you get there's a rating. When you say, my assumption is the way it goes is, when you say strongly agree, I think it's a 5, agree's a 4, I believe. And then there's some open-ended ones that
Right.
you can, and so they just give you, what they give you is they give you an average score on each one, number with a numerical value, and then they give you the open-ended, and they just, you can read exactly what was written on the open-ended piece, so.
Well, some of them, the one that it talked about the school government. So I'm thinking, is that the school district structure, or is it the
Right.
student government? It wasn't, but as long as you have the question and can use that to compare, you know.
It does, and it shows the question and tells how many people,
Right, so then you can at least look at that and realize that
Yeah. Mhm.
at least one parent
Right.
answered it. So, okay. And then maybe, the only other thing maybe on this is to put our website address on there.
That's a good point.
But isn't it gonna be on the webpage?
Well, it just says always check our website and calendar for changes.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna mail them out, that's gonna get a little
It's already gonna
spendy.
be on the website.
But it's gonna
That's
be
how
on the
kids-
website, they're gonna click on
Oh,
it,
you're already on the website.
and it's just gonna be right, it's just one more piece of info, again, I don't think it's possible to over-communicate. It's just that one piece of info, you know, it's all right there, they can print it off and hang it on the refrigerator, was kind of our thought, so.
I don't know, sending it to the people's email addresses is a great idea.
We've been utilizing that a lot this year, it's been very nice, very helpful.
Okay.
One thing, speaking of communication, that I still would like to see a little bit more of it. I was hoping that, you know, our Facebook would take off at some point, but we're doing a lot of awesome stuff in the school. I mean, we really are, at all levels, and, you know, I mean, I know what happens in the grades that my kids or classes they're involved in, but outside of that, I really don't always see it or hear it. And it'd be nice to somehow highlight some of those great things every week or month or something, just, hey, such and such group did this.
Yeah.
or-
You know, one thing Ruth Ann and I chatted about is, you know, we had that slideshow going with that TV, and, you know, she's putting pictures on there, the kids are creating that slideshow, maybe somehow putting that on the website, that folks could go and access it on the website, you know, and that may be one way to do it, something like that, and so.
I know we've talked about that several times over the years. Just haven't gotten, well, like Brandy taking her kids out there. I mean, that's
Mhm.
great
Mhm.
PR.
She took a bunch of pictures, she did take some pictures, so that's one thing, you know.
But it's the one, I mean, teachers don't have time to do it.
Mhm.
So it's figuring out where and how we can access that information and get it out. Robert does a great job, but your plate is full also, so that's the,
Yeah, I guess I'm looking more for not the well-massaged message, but just kind of the raw.
what they're doing,
Yeah.
like Brandy.
Yeah,
That's,
this is what we did.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
If we did that, or posted the pictures, or streamed Ruth Ann's pictures on Facebook, do we need consent forms from all those kiddos to be?
Yeah.
You just have to check the registration.
You just go
You
through
gotta-
the registration and usually.
It's a question when they
It is.
register. Oh.
It is, yeah. If
Even
they
for
do
the
not,
little kiddos?
if they do not,
Never noticed
if they do not want their child to appear in newspaper photos, and they don't fill out a form saying that, we're very careful about monitoring.
We've got all.
Mhm.
Okay, just double check.
Rather than, I wanna know who can't be done, who can't,
Right.
'cause that's the.
Well, like I said, nothing that has to be done tomorrow, but it's something to strive for. is
Sure.
I agree.
Continue to highlight the
Mhm.
great things that you do.
It could be principal's news.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the controller of the Facebook? For the school?
We took the
We
Facebook
took the
down.
Facebook
Oh, you
down.
did?
Oh, we
We
did?
did, yeah.
Yes,
What's it
several reasons.
not working?
Can't we do it without comment? Can't we do it where you? Of course, I know all about Facebook, I don't know a thing about
Well, I
Facebook.
think you can get a corporate sort of account or something, where any comments come in, that somebody's gotta approve them before they get
Yeah, we
posted.
can do that, we can check, make it a one-way communication where we get our communication out and, yeah, there are filters. I know for a fact there are filters on there, and a good many of them too.
Well, I thought we
So
talked about
perhaps we
that.
can get it back up and put those filters in, you know, so.
We had a
Put
person
it-
monitoring when it initially went off.
Right,
That's all right,
but that
it's
we
just,
could have it without the ability to comment, but I don't
Once
know.
again, it would go back to there are mechanisms they have on the filters. I'll check into that.
It could be a positive experience if
Yeah.
used.
with this new newsletter though, I see 10 pages, single space, that's just
Tell me about it later, Janet. See that
three
page.
special interest stories.
Well, it's just a quick way to update
Twice a
people
month.
about basketball changes,
Okay,
or, I mean,
got
there
it.
could be positive outcomes from it.
Well, the one thing I did a lot during the storms is I personally got on like the announcements and I communicate with the public. I give them about like, you know, an update about every 2 to 3 hours as far as our closures,
Is that Facebook?
the deep,
Is that for sales?
Lakeview announcements.
Yeah.
And it was
I
effective.
used my personal account and I got on Lakeview announcements and gave announcements in regard to our buses.
You
and
didn't
what's
see that?
going on, you know, so. I had a lot of great parents who thanked me for
Doesn't
It's
count
a
on my
quick
phone.
way, a lot of people are on it.
Is that a Facebook page, is that for sale on Lakeview?
No,
Just about. Just about.
Lakeview announcements is kind of, it seems like it's kind of moved ahead a little bit of for sale in Lakeview, you know. Yeah, Lakeview announcements is getting quite a lot of hits and interest in the public, so.
I don't care how we do it, it's just
Yeah.
whatever is
Yeah.
convenient for parents. Okay,
The student council can.
we ready to move on to Mrs. Warner? Because
I'm done.
He took a long
Our enrollment at the elementary schools is the same as it was 2 weeks ago when we talked. We also at the elementary school attended the Smarter Balance training and the first aid training that Mr. Hamilton talked about. And then February 1st, we're pretty much done with easy CBM testing, which is our progress monitoring tool. And we'll be working in data team meetings on February 1st to look at where those kids are at. So what that means is that they'll take all that winter data and we'll put it up on a big screen and those teachers and the Title I teacher, special education teacher, look at the progress those kids are making from fall to winter. And then when they go to their intervention groups, if a child's moved out and needs to go to a more challenging intervention group or needs to move into one that's a little less challenging because they're not handling it, not making progress that we think they need to, we'll move them around mid-year. And so that's a way for us to sit down and work through that. So we pull every grade level set of teachers out for about an hour. They look at their data and set some goals for the next 9 weeks with those students, and then pop them back in the classroom and start with the next set and rotate around, get it all done in a day. And then Teresa Shine the next week will go out and she's gonna work with the union teachers to set some goals for them as well with their data. Okay. The oranges for the 6th grade field trip are coming to a close and their fundraising is pretty much done for the year. They've raised all the money that they need to, and now they're just planning the trip. So you guys should see some requests coming in for an overnight field trip and some more requests for chaperones in the future. But they're pretty much done. Their carnival was very successful this fall, so they feel like they can stop fundraising, which is great. Kelly Grindle did a science night this fall, and she has another one that'll be coming up pretty quickly. She doesn't have a date set for that, but she just had a really great response from her first science night. And what she did is she just set science experiments up that were pretty self-explanatory all over her room, Carol Ramsey's room, the other 4th grade teacher, and parents just came into science experiments and learned a little bit more with their child that night, and they had a great time. We are working with healthy families, and one of our goals for the 3 buildings is coats and boots for everybody. We've had just such extreme weather for our kids that Healthy Families has stepped up every time we've called. We have something within 48 hours for those kids, and so we're really on that and trying to make sure that everybody has has what they need in the temperatures that we've been experiencing. Our staff, our hay playground is a little hard to manage right now because we have so much snow on it. And our playground equipment is way out there. To be able to move snow to get to that is a little challenging for a maintenance crew. So I really wanted to take a minute, and I very much appreciate the maintenance crew and all the work they've been doing. But our ADA kids just kind of have this big ice skating rink to play on. And it's problematic. But I had a couple classified personnel that came up and said, what do you think about this? And so we put through some work orders that Janet approved, and he made a couple PVC pipe tic-tac-toe squares. And then we have a couple pallets, and they just have buckets, different colored buckets and different sizes attached to an old pallet. And so they've been playing some beanbag games, and they've been playing frisbee, tic-tac-toe, and they've been playing some games out there. And we've just had some people that really took some initiative to make a situation that wasn't ideal really great, and those kids are having a ball. They're learning some different games. They've been playing some foursquare because they can't, our asphalt's pretty dilapidated for them to even see the foursquare that were there years ago. So they're really doing some fun things, and you guys need to know some of the stuff that they're coming up with to make it through this cold weather. The other thing I wanted to visit with you guys about was that in the fall we sent a whole bunch of people to a poverty conference, and they just came back really empowered. And so on Wednesday of this week, he's doing a webinar, and we extended our invitation to the high school folks. It's from 3 to 4, so we have some high school and elementary folks that'll be going to a webinar in Teresa Shine's room and getting to have discussions across the board about poverty and what we're seeing. But there's a lot of interest in it, there really is. And you're gonna see that in just a minute. So the last thing I wanted to add to my board report was that I give you guys all kinds of information. Sometimes you get some really great little nuggets like, you know, we've got kids that are getting coats and hats and stuff like that. But I wanted to do something a little bit different for board appreciation, so I have a couple of pieces of paper I'm gonna pass out for you to just read at your leisure because they're pretty lengthy. But they are teachers' thoughts and appreciations of what they're proud of that they're doing in their classrooms that they wanted to share with you guys. So I'm gonna give you guys those, and that is it that I have for board report time.
Thank you.
Susan, do we still have those plastic coffee sticks and cups at 80 Day anymore? They long gone.
No, they do a unit with Mr. Ratton and Jim.
What about on our ice cream playground?
We barely let them do it in the jail for safety reasons.
I know.
You have two of the same.
It would be fun.
It would be a lot of fun.
They're rubber cups.
That sounds
I'm
great.
sorry.
Let's put them on the list.
Thank you.
Fun drawing, Annie.
Boy.
You mentioned something about the maintenance staff, and I guess I've heard some,
Pardon, Dustin?
the maintenance staff, I've heard some feedback from others besides you on how good they've been
And the county as
maintaining
well.
things. I just wanna make sure.
The county out of Union has been helping us out a bunch. Keeping those, especially a couple of weeks ago, trying to help keep the parking lots cleaned out too.
We definitely have some chronic areas that are always there, but this winter is dragging on, it seems like, so even though we're only halfway through it. But regardless, I mean, it seems like one day you can barely stand up getting into the school, and then the next day, somebody's been there and, yeah, put a lot of work into getting it.
Good job.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay, so Kara from Oster could not be here tonight, so I'm gonna get her on the phone here in just a few minutes. You guys have got the big thick audit report. It's not a lot of fun to read, but you have it, there in the white deal. But also in the, on your screen should be about page 34. Is probably where she will start, but there's two letters. First one is on page 34, and then the other one is on page 37, which some of this we've already went over. So I will get her on the phone, and then at the end of that, I also have the ending fund balance official at this point, so, bear with me a second.
I wish I would've had this Friday night. I would've read it.
Sure. Page to page.
What do you think, Larry?
Including page 35.
Third paragraph.
This is Kara.
Hi Kara, it's Janet at Lake County School District, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys tonight?
I'm good. So I have you on speakerphone.
Okay.
Alright, so you can go ahead and go, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me over the phone tonight. I am Kara Wilder from Oaks Professional Group. If you guys have any questions, just somebody holler up and I will do my best to answer them. So we will start with the bound audit report. I assume everyone has a copy in front of them?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay, so we will start on page 2 and 3. And on page 2 and 3, it gives our audit opinion. And for the year ended June 30th, 2016, the opinion is qualified. And that is one step under perfect. The unmodified opinion is the best opinion we can give. Your audit was qualified only because the district has not adopted GASB number 45. You haven't implemented it. So other than that, everything was okay. We didn't find any material misstatements or have any internal control deficiencies. So other than that issue, which only affects your statement of net position financial statements, everything looked fine. So there is that. If you'll turn to page 5. On page 5, you'll find the management's discussion and analysis. And if you don't want to read anything else in the financial report, these 5-7 pages are a good overview of what went on during the district number-wise, and it also touches a little bit on last year compared to this year, so I won't read it, but if you want to read anything, this is a good overview of what you should read. So with that, we will turn to page 16 and 17. And on these pages, you'll find the most worldly view of the district, as I like to call it. It includes everything: accounts receivable, accounts payable, your long-term liabilities. It also includes the new GASB 68 requirements, which is related to PERS, so it has your net pension liability, and your capital assets. So this is every single thing that involves the district is found on these 2 pages. It's the most broadest view of the district. One thing I wanted to point out was on page 16, under liabilities, you will find your net pension liability of $4.1 million. And this is a liability that the district has booked because of the implementation of GASB 68. It involves the PERS information, trying to be more transparent with PERS. So the net pension liability is what your district owes in relation to the whole state of Oregon for the PERS that your district has employed or will employ, is employed currently or have in the past. So what that means for you in the future, we don't know yet, but it is a liability that has to be booked, and it is $4.1 million, so it is very large. Any questions so far? No? Okay.
I think we're good, Kara.
Okay, let's go to page 27. On page 27, you'll find the notes for the basic financial statement. I won't read these, it's 20, 30 pages long, but it's an in-depth description of activities happening on the pages before the notes. So if you wanted to dive into anything more, for instance, the PERS note, if you wanted to read about the new GASB 68 PERS note, it's on page 33, it's note 2, and it kind of explains the different aspects of what the district has adopted automatically with PERS. It has the detail of capital assets broken out by land and buildings, if you wanted to read into that a little bit more, but I won't go into each note there. So starting on page 48, I'll let you flip to that. Page 48 and on is probably a little bit more familiar to most of you because this is your budget basis. So if Janet provides any type of budget information, what your budget is currently to what you've actually spent, this is an overview by fund of that information. On page 48 and 49, you will find the general fund, and it has the original budget that you adopted in before the fiscal year started, and then you have the final budget at 6/30, and then the actual column, and we have the variance to the budget, whether it was positive or negative in the last column. I do want to point out that your revenue that you budgeted on page 48, we have total revenues down towards the bottom. It was awfully close to what actually came in, so that was a good budgeting strategy there. On expenditures, however, again on page 48, that last line, total instruction, you budgeted 4.3 and you spent 4.4 million. So there was a budget over expenditure for total instruction. And on page 49, there was 2 over expenditures, one in facilities acquisition and construction, a small one of $2,000. And another small one you over transferred out of the general fund than what you budgeted by $4,500. There was those 3 over expenditures for the budget for the general fund. The rest of the funds don't start until page 55. And on page 55, you have each, we call these non-major funds. They don't have as much activity as the general fund does, and they are non-major. But you have the balance sheet, which shows the cash and any liabilities that you have, and that starts on page 55. And then if you keep flipping, you'll have the income statement of those non-major funds again. And that's your revenues, your local sources, your state sources, any federal sources, and then the expenditures. You can see how each fund did. And this is a brief overview, and if you keep flipping, starting on page 57, you have each fund individually, and it has their budget compared to the actual and how it went for the year. Starting on page 91, it does seem like we're flipping through a lot, but each page has a different fund, and you guys have several funds. So, starting on page 91 is your single audit. Because the district spends over $750,000 of federal funds, you are required to have a single audit, and that's an intensive look at a selection of your federal programs. We don't look at everyone. We have to go through this graph and make sure that we get our coverage, is what it's called. So we don't look at everything, but we did look at a couple different federal programs, and we didn't find any issues. So on page 91, it has a list of all of your federal programs that the district received, and it has the revenue and the expenditures, what went out for that project. On page 94, it says financial statement findings. We did not have any findings for the year ended June 30th, 2016, so that was good. Last year, we did have an internal control weakness, but that was cleaned up in 2016, so that was good to see. and we didn't have to write another finding. I think that's about it for the bound copy. Does anyone have any questions before I go to the reports? No?
No.
Okay, so we should have two reports. One is 3 pages long, and we call this the SAC 114 letter. It has a bold heading of our responsibility in relation to financial statement audit. This is just a letter letting the board know that we have performed our audit. We didn't have any issues with timing or independence. We didn't have any issues with management or getting information. We didn't have any significant findings or other matters. We did modify the report for GASB 45, but we don't consider that, a finding or an issue that we have to write up other than the modification of the audit report. So we didn't have any difficulties during the audit, getting the audit done. So that was all fine and dandy there. The management letter is the last letter that I wanted to bring up. And it has a paragraph at the top, and then it has a bold heading of budget. There were numerous budget over expenditure violations for the year, and if you wanted to write down page 89 and 90 in the audit report, it actually has a list of all of them. I kind of skipped over that, but that is a Oregon State requirement that we do list those out. And because there was an over expenditure, we say you do not fully comply with Oregon budget law. And we would if you had $1, but altogether it was a material amount, so you definitely did not comply. You complied with everything else, it was just in the end result of Oregon budget law that you had a violation. Keep that in mind. The HRA account was not, well, there was no evidence of review and approval during the year, so we just recommend that it is reviewed and approved when it's reconciled throughout the year with the other bank accounts. Inventory, we did have a little bit of an issue getting inventory correct. Third time was a charm. We did get it from Janet and the staff, and it was fine. It was complete. It had everything on it, and it had prices. It did take just a few lifts to get there. So we just recommend that inventory controls are tightened around that, especially around year end, because that's what's left in the freezers and whatnot when the school year is over. So just tighten those up. Under the payroll heading, we noted significant improvement in time card approvals. There were only 2 time cards that weren't signed by the employee and 4 that were not signed by a supervisor this year. And we tested 60 time cards and leave slips. So we did extensive testing, we believed, in that area, and it was much better than last year. So that was good. The 941 reports, the line number 2, wages, tips, and other compensation, wasn't reported correctly. This didn't affect any payroll taxes, and you probably won't get a letter on it, but it didn't match exactly what was in the system, and that's an easy fix. On the I-9 forms, we did some extra testing this year. Due to GASB 68, we had to look at some data from the employees to make sure it matched the original documents in their personnel file to what was in your accounting software to what was in PERS. And in doing that, we noted that the I-9s weren't fully completed, and that's just a requirement from the state that you have I-9s on hand for each person. So we just have that noted in this report. On page 2, schedule of expenditures of federal awards. That is the CIFA that I talked about on page 91. That was significantly improved from last year. The Oregon Department of Education has this great tool that lets you know what payments they made to the district and whether it was state funded or federal funded. And the Janet used that tool and gave us a great feedback, so that was improved from last year, so we wanted to note that. We did, however, see some revenue that was reported as an expenditure, and so we just recommend that that doesn't happen. And I've talked to Janet about it, and that's an easy fix. Under journal entries, we did have 18%, and I don't have the number that we tested in front of me, but 18% of what we tested did not have evidence of approval or supporting documentation. It was improved from last year, but we like to see that number at least under 10%. So there is some room for improvement there, but it was better than last year. So that was on its way up. So that's all I have for the management letter. I don't have any other points. The audit went well. We were there late in the year and we turned it around really fast, so that was great. I felt like it was a great audit. So, any questions?
I don't have any, does there any?
No. Well, if anything does come up, Janet has my contact information, email or by phone. I will be in the office most of the time. It's tax season, so I will be here. So don't hesitate to shoot me an email or give me a call if something comes up and you want something clarified.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Kara.
Thanks, Kara.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, you guys too.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You don't have any questions? Thank you. So with that, I think you have to scroll way down, which I think is in your new business. There's the, is it in the end of, so it's on the end of consent, but at the end of course, keeping in mind that this is modified cash accrual, so we're on a cash basis, so what's in, what's out that's pretty much where we are. So we actually ended the year at 1.2 million at the end of the year with just cash. So our financial statements are listed as a modified, so it'll be accounts receivable, accounts payable, once we don't, on a daily basis, we operate on a cash basis, so. We're at 1.2 million beginning of this year.
So we're looking at page 54 in our packet.
I'm sorry, yes. I skipped over. I was looking at page 54.
So the ending fund balance report.
Yeah, and then down towards the bottom, there's a highlight. It says actuals to date. Revenue was at 7.8 million, and our expenditures were 8.3 million, leaving us with 1.2 million. And that's in your consent agenda, along with the reports that she just discussed for your guys' approval in there.
What was our, that's pretty close to what we budgeted for ending fund balance, wasn't it? Last year?
Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty close on my end. My,
I'm thinking it was like a 1.3 or something, but
no, I wasn't that high. I knew we would be about 1.2.
it was lower.
Mhm. It was really close to that, actually. Yeah, it was pretty close. Any other questions or?
So 6.38% is ending fund balance monthly projection. Is that correct?
I'd like to get that a little bit higher, but it might not happen this year.
So it sounded like from the report that we improved on our accounting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of internal controls that were lacking from the prior year, which aren't hard fixes, but were also small. So there's some things that we can not be so critical about and still be within our internal control realm, if you will, but we did a lot of separating of duties, even furthermore, within the four of us, that was here, so that helped a lot. I think it was very helpful that, I knew what to expect from them. I've been on the other side of that table, but never on this side of the table, so. I know what I needed, but this is a different vehicle also, so I think it was helpful to be, I felt like we were very well prepared, and there was very little things that we were hunting down if they had any questions on.
Do you feel like you have everything you need to be successful with doing that, or
Well,
is
I
there
think
any
every day is,
software or anything that,
well, we're actually gonna change software, in the upcoming year, so that's already in the works. And I think that it will be more up to date, and a little bit easier for me. This that we're using now is green screen, so I always have, it's harder to me anyway, but, so I know that this next year will be a challenge with software change that we have no choices of making, but it will be also a little bit more modernized, so we should be able to do a heck of a lot more stuff. Utilize it more so of an accounting software that I'm more so used to. So I'm actually looking forward to that, but.
Any other questions?
So it's in consent agenda, so if we, are we good? Okay, very good. Again, well done. Please tell Patty and
I will,
Amy that we appreciate your hard work.
I will.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Very good report. Okay, old business,
I have none.
new business. Approval of open enrollment numbers.
Well, every year per House Bill 3681, which was enacted in 2011, at this time of year, Oregon schools are required to announce the number of students that we will allow for open enrollment, which begins on March 1st, goes through April 1st, and then after those students are, fill their application through the open enrollment process, in the month of April through May, we notify the schools that they're schools of origin, that they are, seeking open enrollment in our district. So, I went through this thing, based on our past history, we have put no cap on our open enrollment. Bigger districts, perhaps, like Klamath County and Klamath City, due to size and everything, they may put caps on their open enrollment. To my knowledge, since I've been in this job, we've only had one student who has taken advantage of this open enrollment, and that's it. So, my recommendation to you folks is no cap on open enrollment, and we have that in the form of a motion for you to push forward, and then we have the poster on the back of the sheet announcing the open enrollment program and everything, so, anyway. Questions? Okay. So I guess we need a motion.
I move that we approve no cap on open enrollment student numbers as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. DMS elevator change order number 3.
So that number 3, we went through it through work session. So you have 3 things happening there, within that change order. You've got a change of date, again to February 15th, and then you have, the $1,100, on which we'd already discussed. We wanted to hold it out to the end, which we have not made any final payments to the contractor or to DCI as far as finishing up that on the whole project as a whole. So, we're darn close, but I think we're still waiting on the elevator to be inspected, obviously by the state. So until that clears and we have the operational permit on that, then we won't make that last check to them. So, we are still in the midst, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know, he explained the 45-degree bends where they were required, which was the 1122, and that, again, that's that piece that we derailed till the end of the project. And then the subcontractor, the elevator subcontractor for $1,000, to come back, just to move the elevator so they could put sprinkler heads in there. So, those are the 3 items. Right now, the time extension, we are out of compliance with the time extension. It expired on December 31st. So, we're a little tardy in getting the extension to the February 15th date. So, right now, we're kind of I'm in limbo for 23, 24 days now. And so then, I don't know if you want those separated. I don't, that's entirely up to you, what your comfort level is.
Has the $1,000 been paid by the sub? And they're asking us to reimburse them?
There's been no payment made by us. Now, the sub may have paid, them, but this is giving us authorization to pay them that extra $1,000, but we have not paid that $1,000 directly. So I don't know that, I'm going to assume DCI did pay them.
Right.
Otherwise, you would never have gotten over here, I'm sure.
And the 1122 is,
That's the piece that was already presented prior, and we decided to hold off till the end. We are to the end, yes and no, but we don't have a final on the elevator, I guess is what I would say.
I'm fine with 1,000. I'd like to wait and see where we're at the very end for the 1122 since they are the ones that broke it. And the time, I don't have an issue. I don't know what else we do for the time.
Well, I don't know what else you would do with the time, either. The only other thing that I can point out to you that in the agreement, the bid agreement, that there is a $200 per day, penalty, I guess, if you will.
On us or on the contractors for not finishing on time?
That's DCI.
Mhm.
Shoot, they're gonna list my work, isn't it?
Will you tell me that?
When does
Have we
that
seen that
penalty
before?
start?
What's that, I'm sorry?
When would that penalty start?
Well, technically, it would have started December 31st, or January
January
1,
1st.
because we only had the extension to December 31st.
Well, when was the original due?
August 30th?
Have any words been spoken about that $200 a day? I think that's our bathroom.
Not quite, but could add to
It's
it.
working its way there.
Some tile work in the bathroom.
Oh, gosh.
Some granite counter.
I know that in the very beginning there was delay with the shop drawings. So that's what delayed it the first time from August 30th.
And the delivery of the elevator, wasn't that?
Yeah, we were a little tardy on the elevator,
That was
but
behind schedule, too.
our very first contractor that we worked with, as far as prepping the area for the elevator, he was ready to go, and he was fairly timely, as far as, I guess, I just, I'm 23 days out at this point today. I just have a hard time with the change order for essentially $2,100. one, the sprinklers could have been put in when it was tore out, or wasn't in there in the first place. That could have happened, and then, you know, we're talking about $2,100 versus the $4,600 that we would have in penalties up here. Or, I don't know if I would call it a penalty.
Do we anticipate any other change orders? Is there gonna be any other?
I don't anticipate any. However, with that said, I can't honestly say I am 100% convinced of that at this point.
So if it's a signed contract on $200 a day over approved time, why not enforce that?
I mean, I see Daryl recommended this on the 19th.
I mean, if the original date was August and we've been patient and we've hit the end of the year,
I think it's worth having a conversation.
Is it having impacts upon what we can do in that building?
No, currently, as far as KCC, they've been working around KCC and has not impacted us as a school district.
And the use of KCC has impacted the contractor.
They've been doing night, coming in after classes or sessions are, you know, done up. But I know that during the Christmas break, they got in there and was doing quite a bit
Yeah, the bulk
during
of
that time frame. So there was no students or staff in there.
KCC was out for a month, so they did much of the work during the month that KCC was out.
And DCI is out of Klamath,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so it's very possible that any future dealings in that building, we could see DCI again.
This will be round two with DCI.
So, I hate to be too big of a stickler and lose a potential contractor that may be cheaper for the next project than somebody coming in
Right.
from some other city further away.
Right.
But I think there's a valid point between,
it's a contract.
you're not meeting your deadlines, but then now you're asking for more money too.
Right.
And I guess I struggle with this because I don't know if we're being taken advantage of. I feel like we should have the project manager should be working for us to ensure that deadlines are met and overruns aren't being done, and I just don't know if that makes sense.
Well, the
I feel
19-day lapse, we should have had this before Christmas.
Yeah.
We knew that this wasn't gonna be done.
So I guess at this point, my recommendation is that we just approve the February 15th.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
So does that mean we waive our discretion around the $200 a day? If we approve it
Well, I think-
February 15th? Or,
I think if we get to
That's
February 15th and
different
we're
issues.
asking for yet another extension, then we need to
Yeah,
have a
15th
different
isn't very
conversation about,
far away.
overruns versus $200 a day.
I think if you
So-
know, go ahead, Barry.
So we came in under budget by 54,000.
Well, not necessarily, because it got pieced out, so piecemealed out to different contractors. So we did have a change order with Rob Thornton from the original bid, but we had a total of 800,000, which we could have do, a plethora of things just on sections of it. So to say that we're under budget is probably not a fair statement.
We'd still like to do bathrooms.
I still think that I thought we had way more money for that middle.
The sprinklers just hit us and hit us hard. That's where, the huge impact was on the dollars of those sprinklers, so. Initially, the vision of this grant was to do the elevator and to completely renovate the second floor,
Correct.
so.
And
So I
then
am recalling that correct.
And then the sprinkler
Right.
system was almost a necessity,
And that was about
because we
80.
were already tore apart.
Must have been $80-some thousand.
I can tell you.
More than that, I think.
So, fire sprinkler system is $194,000, and the fire line installation, $46,000. The restrooms on this particular bid from DCI was $89,500.
I just don't see us as being unfair or burning bridges when we keep approving more additional costs and it keeps going longer. If it's a bound contract and it's written, then maybe we should have a discussion. At least
Was
a
the,
verbal discussion doesn't mean we have to go after the $200 a day, but maybe we need to
was the August date before
tighten
the
up a
change
little bit.
of sprinklers?
The August 30th date was on the bid,
But it didn't include the whole building being sprinklered. We added that
That-
after, correct?
this included the fire sprinkler system
For the whole building.
for this, for the whatever end we're on, the north end.
North end, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, cause originally we didn't have sprinklers upstairs.
Correct.
Right.
So it was the August date before,
That was from the get-go, when we put out bid documents, was by August 30th.
With everything.
So, the August 30th date was in the bid packet.
right, but what I'm saying is I thought we added the upstairs sprinklers after we got started and they figured out once we, that it was a better use of our money to do it all at the same time. That was after it
That
went to
was-
bid, correct?
No, I don't
No?
think so. I don't
If
think
we
so.
had
So either I think it was
cinched
during
up
the pro- I
about
think it was during the process.
additional costs after bids. After the bus burn.
The Springer conversation came in the spring, and then we put the thing out for bid to include the entire sprinkler package in the entire building.
Mhm.
Will, do you have a recommendation of the board, or you just leave it?
Well, I would
Well, personally, just to interject, if it was me, I agree with the February 15th, because honestly, we're backed against a wall, they're not out of there anyway. I disagree with the part where they're tardy, with that, because they should have, been expecting that, not
Seems
to
like-
complete the 12/31. I say, if it was me, I would hold out on the $2,100 until we draw that last check to both Thornton and DCI.
That's what,
After the
well, that
elevator.
was a recommendation, yeah, I totally agree. I'd hold off on the money piece, and then we need to do some discussion with them as far as the extension of the deadline over December 31st, and that clause in that contract to the tune of the $200 a day. I think that presents some level of bargaining as far as this money piece.
Because if you
So-
really wanted to go back to the original
Yeah.
change order for the dates, off the top of my head, I don't have that, but quick figure, yeah, we could probably be into it a few thousands, even though we approved the extension. I think that gives us a little bargaining power over $2,100.
Yes,
Right, we've been more than accommodating up to this point.
yeah, so I,
Where I think we need to maybe draw. a line.
probably if you're gonna go the route of this motion this evening of the change order, I would, put the change order through as amended to say, extension on the contract date, correct? Is that
Yeah.
correct saying?
Mhm.
And, how do we remove, get my parliamentary skills up here,
Someone writing down this motion.
amend to remove, the financial
Coping.
piece,
You
what's the
could
best way
just-
to say that?
The additional cost to projects.
Okay. Amended to remove the additional cost of costs.
The other thing, every time we extend that date, are we, there's nothing in there that says that we're giving up the right to claim $200.
No.
Oh, it certainly isn't.
From August 30th?
So, conceivably, you could say, well,
Legally.
sure, we extended your date, but legally, you were supposed to be done August 31st, so from that date to here,
Is X.
Amount.
I think though, if we, I haven't seen the contract, but if we extend the date, then I don't think that $200 is out.
yeah, I don't know.
I
Without
think
reading the
it'd be
contract.
valid only after we pass the date that we,
The only thing
Very
that, the only thing that I can say is that by February 15th, I do not expect them to be done. The only reason I say that is that I don't know that the elevator guy will get here to do the inspection on the elevator from the state. And the other thing is we still have a sidewalk out front that was ruined, in front of EMS, that they set that big box down on.
They're not gonna fix that.
No, exactly, that's my point exactly, is they are not gonna fix it by February 15th, there's no way.
No,
Well, that's kind of what I was alluding to when I asked Daryl about that, and then his comment was he'd like to keep the pressure on. So,
So if we approve for the 15th, then we're kind of bowing out of holding them to the $200.
But,
But it's not
But
that we're not approving them
I
if
think
we
that-
don't
that,
officially approve it. What if you guys have the conversation about what we're talking about here tonight
exactly,
prior to approving?
I think what we're trying to get at is, right now, we're 23 days out. That's 4,600 according to the contract, versus their 2,100. Which one? He's costing me money at this point.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
So, I mean, I think it would be worth the leverage, without trying to burn a bridge.
well, I'm saying that maybe we shouldn't approve anything necessarily, because if we approve it, then we're approving their extension yet again, right?
well, in
Isn't
legal
that
terms,
fine?
we're approving it effective tonight, when you only have 23 days.
That are,
That was
That you
not
wanna go
approved,
back
that he
on.
can still hold his leverage.
Okay. I wasn't sure, and that if we approve it, then we're saying
Yeah, we
that
have,
deadline's fine, and
I would say
we're waiving that,
we're giving
that
them,
clause.
we're letting them, we're giving the approval this evening, but there's 23 days that are still unaccounted for, that they're over the deadline.
well, I think they're gonna assume this goes, extend from December 31st to February 15th, there's no gap in the time there. We'd have to change it and say from today, and
and
take the 23 days out.
you could most certainly do that. I mean, it's just his recommendation, it doesn't mean that
Right.
you don't change it.
I guess I'm not in the opinion to hold them for the $200. I think that, I think we do change it to the February 15th. I think that the board, I would recommend to the board that we don't approve the $2,100.
Additional charge.
I think we really get into some petty stuff if we get into that February 15th, but I think that, or the $200 a day. But I think that from February 15th on, we need to have some discussion about where we go from there, about
Yeah.
$200 a day.
Yeah.
It seems like
I think they hit some things that they couldn't control.
that they're this far over and then they're charging us more.
Yeah, so
Just-
I'm not recommending that we
Right.
approve the additional money.
well, that's right where I'm at, I don't think, I mean, we have it in our rights to charge them 200 a day, but I don't think we should. But at the same token, they gotta recognize that we do have the right to do it, and
Yeah.
to nickel and dime us for more when we're gracious to extend the date on them.
Yeah,
There's give and take.
as I said, I think it's a bargaining tool, so. So I'd recommend amending, pushing the change order motion through, amending it to state, extend the deadline to February 15th with removal of the additional
Payment of
Cost.
whatever.
cost.
$2,122. Okay. Everybody write it down?
Well,
have a
I'll
motion.
try it.
Can you give it a go?
I'll give it a whirl. I'll make the motion that we approve the amended change order number 3. Which would include only extending the date to February 15th, 2017 for project completion, and not approving additional costs.
Good enough.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda.
It was as follows, board, so anytime you wanna make a motion to approve, by all means do so.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a question about, will it come after the second?
Oh, we should pull it.
Consent agenda, we can't.
Right? We need to pull it out if he wants to talk about them.
Mm-hmm. So we would.
Would you like to throw something in?
I'd just like to talk about the softball coaches since Jesse's here.
Okay. So we could,
Move it to approve it.
well, we'd have to move it to new business, I think, it'd be 10.3.
With the removal of approved
Oh,
consent
it's
agenda
probably
with the
all
removal.
figured out now.
Is it gonna move into discussion of personnel? That'd be executive session.
Just, no. I don't think It's just a pretty simple question is all I have.
Okay, Brandon also doesn't have any personnel, so.
No, I just, both of the letters say that neither one have coaching experience. I'm just curious how long those were open and are we
About
pushing it?
5 months.
5 months? And so that just wasn't a lot of interest. is what I'm-
Yep, that's the name of the game here, it seems like, with our applicant pools.
Alright, that was just
Yeah.
my
No,
concern
I-
that, you know, both coaches have, you said in the letter, no prior coaching experience.
That's,
And that just
there's
seemed-
no, there's prior coaching experience, there's probably no softball experience.
Alright, well, something I read in there made me think.
But,
there was no
but
coaching.
to your point, you're right, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That question's okay.
Then, or I guess is the school going to, I guess that's just concerning, that, are we gonna help them be successful and
Mhm.
mentor them in coaching?
We have some things in place with myself and with Jackie Robinson, yeah.
Okay. That was it.
Okay.
Thank you for accommodating.
So I had a motion to approve, do I have a second?
I will now.
All in favor to approve our consent agenda this evening?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Announcements.
Yes, 12.1, ESD budget board meeting tomorrow night in Paisley. 3 of us are part of that board. I will have a vehicle out here at 5:30 if you want to ride up with me. I think I've already got Annie signed on and Stephanie.
I'm going with Vicky, she already asked.
Okay.
I asked
All right,
sooner.
don't hurt feelings.
Asking for like 4 days.
Anyway,
Text me
that's my announcement.
if you're held up or just need to stay
We will keep in
in
touch.
Paisley and not drive all the way back.
We will keep in touch.
Next board meeting agenda item.
The listening sessions, we were gonna start moving towards setting dates. for
Have a lot,
listening
actually.
sessions.
Listening sessions.
Can I get my hands on our classrooms that we need to visit again? They didn't get
That's not me.
sent to me.
Just
right?
go to all of them.
You're talking about the bathroom, you're talking about the bathroom for Delaware Middle School?
No, no, the
Listening
class, no, the classrooms that we're visiting, our list.
Oh, I thought you said bathroom. I thought we were back to EMS again, so.
That was a leap.
Yes, I can answer that question implicitly, yes.
Okay, do
We
you
talked
have
a
a
lot
list?
about bathrooms tonight, so I heard bathroom again, so
Sometimes
my,
you can
I
have
have
someone
three
my
of
deep,
them
my deep
down.
apology for my horrible hearing, so.
But I wanna check more off my list, but I'm not sure where to go. I can just wander around the elementary school and search.
I will have, Tandy, can you find that list and email it to her? Okay, very good.
Um,
I just think everybody good laugh, that's good.
Are we gonna have a work session? Is that,
Well, I actually looked, I hadn't looked, tonight was a work session originally, just work session, so if we wanna do that, maybe we could swap that regular.
oh, I don't, doesn't matter, I was just curious, listening session, I guess I have some thoughts on that. That maybe would be better in a work session than
If you want
You
to just go
mean
work,
after a listening session or before we try and schedule?
before we schedule,
We could put that in a work session next meeting,
and whether we really need it.
yeah. We're given the amount, we're gonna have
Meeting
all the
not done?
Jesse's and surveys for accreditation, which will
That's
maybe
some of
provide
them.
some of us,
In my
some
committee-
information,
in
and then
my
your
committee
committee
too.
is pretty extensive.
I have quite a few Title I parent surveys sitting in my office.
So,
So I think we need to just have a conversation whether we really
yeah.
wanna go down that route or not. For
Okay.
sure.
So listening sessions and work session next meeting.
I have a number of things, probably, I'm looking on my list here, that would be all, I have no action items, I have all report items is what I have. Do you have any action items as far as the finances or anything like that coming up?
I might have, well, we might have that commission,
Okay.
we should have that commission.
That's not gonna be an action item.
Well, if you would like, we can go ahead and make the next meeting an all-work session. We could probably, adjourn into a regular session at some point and give these reports. I think, I remember Sean doing that a time or two, correct?
Yeah.
Can we, do you have to go to the regular session for reports? Because there's no,
Yeah, it's part of the regular session agenda, so.
I mean, I don't, yeah, I would wonder that too.
because you don't have to make a decision, but we can make decisions in work sessions if we want.
Maybe, unless you want that in a regular session, you could do the reports in work
Yeah.
session.
I'm looking down my list here, I think we're okay, these can all just go into work session. What I wanna tell you about are the latest legislative things that are happening with this new, legislature. Continued on the one advisory committee, that was another
Mhm.
item. Per our conversation earlier this evening, my conversation with Dr. Gutierrez, you've given me some things to talk about more with him in regard to development there. The kindergarten assessment, I initially had Tara online to come and do that. I can put her off till the next February meeting.
Sure.
And then the biggie, folks, is my evaluation. So, then we can put that off till the second February meeting as well. So if we wanna go all work session, I think that's a good idea. We're gonna have a number of items related to surveys, the superintendent advisory committee meeting, Jesse's accreditation information.
I don't know how that gets reported out, so I guess I should preface that. I don't know, it's for our accreditation and it's gonna go into that external review, so I don't know that I'll come to that meeting with anything for you.
Oh, sure,
So
no, I'm just
just-
saying
but,
that
okay, I didn't know
it's
if
in
you-
the process of being
Right,
gathered.
okay.
And if we,
Yeah,
in talking about what we want.
right.
So I
You can bring
guess-
an updated newsletter.
Well, it'll still be February. I won't have March's done by then.
So my thought on this is a work session and tied to district goals, because pretty much everything we're discussing here in one form or another points to district goals.
Are you gonna be ready for district goals by then though?
Well, at least have more information as a result of that meeting to present to them, so.
Well,
Okay, oh, we're talking about.
And we can
Yeah.
talk about your evaluation as far as, we have to plan our
Yeah.
meeting of when to start.
Well, that's February. Be nice if we had an update from Jesse or Rusty on the OSAA.
And there,
Because I
we
think
can do
that's
that
the
because
30th.
there will be some, hopefully we're gonna see some movement the 30th on if they're gonna go 5 or 6 at least.
And
That's
did
what they're
Rusty
saying.
get enough input from us as far as our,
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he drafted a letter from the league, yeah, I think we're
our
good.
thoughts?
But we'll see. They say there's rumor that they're gonna decide between 5 and 6 on the 30th. we'll see if that happens. But
Yeah, that's a big decision.
So, yeah, we can go work session, and we have an array of excellent topics to go through.
Will, do you wanna start a calendar discussion then, or next one?
You wanna start the calendar discussion that night? We can bring that into it too.
Might as well if we're having just a work session,
Okay.
Next year's calendar?
Okay,
cause that's,
Roll
we're in
on.
February, right?
we'll bring the why don't we bring the calendar discussion into it as well?
Graduation at 11? Two?
I'll let you.
Okay, shaping up with a nice little list here, we'll have that ready to go, and we'll go seven, well, what time do you wanna go? Do you wanna go
Oh,
6
yeah.
o'clock, do you wanna go 7 o'clock?
Discussion.
I mean, I'd like to do 6 if you guys can, that you.
How about you, Cook?
Okay.
Does food help to have it here for you eat dinner, or? We'll just put those sandwiches in the freezer.
I can have a pizza delivered or something.
Do we need to adjourn?
Yes, there's motion.
Come on.
Move that we adjourn the.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're adjourned.
Hey Candy,
Okay, sounds good.
Candy, I'm gonna be gone on February 27th.
Huh?
Fill your drinks, okay.
Not even 9.
Please take some dessert with you folks. Take a sandwich with you.
I have one of those
Take off your
pops.
email.
Justin, you should try
Just
one of
have
those
it made.
pops.
I know, that's okay,
Thanks for this letter.
I've been going crazy too, but I can see why. And a broken sidewalk.
Yeah, they set the big box on there. If you drive by there, there's that big
Yeah.
huge box. They set it on there and it just
Okay, Annie.
crumbled nice.
I'll put the pipe
You might need to
right
pull it out one time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
no
They
regular.
set the rocks on the
Yes.
broken sidewalk, they set, well,
Yeah, there is.
Oh, there is. Are
So
you
I don't know, they set it
staying?
on top of the sidewalk.
Probably not after your day.
I'm not really sure why
Yes.
in the heck they were.
Well,
I mean, it's heavy, I mean, it's,
Okay.
And I don't have
I'm-
kids.
I'm not,
It
I'm
was
not,
on our,
And I know
I
that's
have-
been
I haven't
on
looked
I've
at
worked
that
a little bit when
agenda
it
yet. I do
gets
that
heavy equipment,
tomorrow.
you always put something heavy, something on the ground here, so
Why
there's
don't
shot.
they come across to
Even if it were 4x4s or 8x8s,
No, the only thing
or,
I understand about
you know, some, or some
about that is
pieces of plywood,
Tired
and
of
you set it on top of that,
money.
on a lawn,
next time,
not on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
Because the
I
sidewalk,
would have liked to have been reminded of that.
the sidewalk, you have especially the students walking
Or
back and
have
forth
that
across there.
discussion.
And you got
Daryl,
parents,
You have any?
yeah,
you
that would have
got,
been
you got the
his,
middle school kids waiting for the high school
You
kids.
should be waiting down the line.
You and one.
and remind me.
And then you got the neighbors walking by with the dogs, run.
You got the whole picture.
Not that we.
I worked as a